Hey Mallards, it is Saturday. I had a fun and relaxing day, did some puzzles with my grandma here at home, but Dad and I just watched a film on Amazon called Jolt, and I thought I'd talk about it. Uh, we watched it because it's a Kate Beckinsale film, and I want to address a few things up front. This is a very violent film, so you should be aware of that, and there will be spoilers. The first thing is just related to my enjoyment of the film and not necessarily to the film itself. But since I literally just spent, the last 6 weeks watching Loki, the way Kate Beckinsale is styled in this film, with her blonde hair and also using the British accent, just really makes her seem like Sylvie. Like, she reminded me of Sylvie from Loki constantly throughout this entire film. And it was partially, I think, the way she's styled and the way she speaks, the cadence with which she speaks, and also maybe the violence and anger issues. It centers around her character, Lindy, who has, I can't remember what, intense explosive disorder, something like that. But it's IED, but it essentially means like explosive anger. Like, she gets really, really angry and she gets incredibly violent. And they did a fun little montage at the beginning of her like growing up and being violent. And then she has this system that shocks her, which should reset it and stop her from being so crazy. And then you get to follow her through a crazy encounter where this guy that she kind of likes and is finally feeling happy about seeing gets killed, and then she decides that the one thing she's good at is being angry and violent, so she's gonna use that to her advantage to figure out who killed him and follow through all of that. Like I said, major spoilers. In the end, it turns out he isn't dead and was just using her, so wow. Whew, man, what a trip. I really, really, really enjoyed the way that this film was done. There are moments where she is thinking about being violent against people and then decides not to. So it does that sort of like flashing to her doing something violent and then flashing back to her jolting herself or taking a breath and deciding not to do it, which is fun. Some of them are ridiculous. There's a lot of absolute over-the-top violence for no reason that I always enjoy, because I guess not necessarily for no reason, but just like over the top to the point of almost being like kitschy violence, which I think is fun. Especially this sort of film really lends itself to that. There's a wild car chase. The way the characters treat each other is really interesting. The cops she interacts with, there are partners, one who's like very by the rules, and the guy who sees something in her and is trying to help her and is more like a go with your gut sort of thing. But the way that they converse and the way the characters converse in this in general, it's all very to the point in a way that's kind of fun and refreshing. Like, everyone says exactly what they mean in this film, except for the boyfriend, who obviously was lying the whole time. I feel like there's a lot to unpack with like the betrayal that Lindy has again and again and again. Literally, you just watch throughout the course of the film as everybody she had like a connection with and thought she could rely on just betrays her over and over and over, except for the cop who sort of believed in her, and they end up maybe at the end being friends. It also ends on a cliffhanger for a second one, which I'm unsure if I think is necessary, but I would definitely watch it because I just had a lot of fun with this. In general, the premise is ridiculous. There are a lot of absolutely ridiculous things that happen in this, including a fight where, in order to get away from the rule-following cop, she throws literal babies at her. Like, the cop has a gun and she's in a NICU unit, so she picks up a baby and throws it because the cop is going to try and catch the baby because she's good and by the rules. So that is ridiculous. And there were a couple of other moments like that. But when the whole movie jumps the shark, I guess that's totally okay. It doesn't really matter. And it was fun. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I laughed. I thought that Kate Beckinsale was good in this part. Lindy was an interesting character just from an emotional place, like the way that she acts, the sort of like manic energy that she has. Also interesting to play a character who just gets repeatedly betrayed like that again and again and again. It's not a very hopeful film, so you have to know that going in. But if you enjoy some gratuitous violence and like Kate Beckinsale with a British accent, which I think is maybe, I don't know if that's her natural accent or not, but I would say it's on Amazon Prime. It's a good time. It's a 90-minute film, and I laughed a lot. So check it out. And if you do check it out, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you tomorrow.